It's spinning. It says we're live. Okay, all right. Yes, that's right. As Thin Lizzy predicted almost 44 years ago, the boys are back in town. Welcome. Welcome once again to the Select Characters Podcast. I'm still Sam Yates. I will be your host today when we're trapped. I use upward
just
inflection.
Bursting with confidence.
So you know it's a question. Well, I mean, you know, if we're technically adept. So can we hear everybody?
Hopefully.
I think we can, hopefully.
Okay. Just let me know in the chat. Everybody.
Wait, are we even recording this so we can put this on Spotify? Are we prepared?
No, I mean, as soon as I click in stream, it's going to be on YouTube. So we could record the YouTube and then put that on Spotify as an option. Let me tell everybody who you guys are. This is let's see. Let's start with Chris. Christopher Anderson is my friend. He's here. We've got Jamie. Jamie's last name is hold on.
That's my name. Jamie's last name.
Oh, and I know Enrique Cancel. I know Christopher Anderson and Jamie Montgomery. Is it Montgomery?
That's the one. That's it. What a step in the dark.
Against all odds, you just happen to blurt out the right last name. It is incredible.
What a phenomenal guess.
Thank you. All right. The fuck is your last name, though? I totally forgot.
Van Lint.
Van Lent. See, that's what I was going to say next. That was my second guess.
I've got a more Dutch surname than Chris does.
That's true. My surname is quite British.
So welcome. We're going to do probably just goof off for a minute. We're all trapped inside due to the COVID-19 situation, and we all got back on Discord and thought that we should have a chat. Maybe about video games.
It's like easier to coordinate now because everybody's always home, so there's plenty of time to actually do something like this. But I do think I have to know, because Jamie brought this up a couple of weeks ago, like, yeah, we should do this, and it took several weeks of us, despite being in a lockdown in our respective countries, it still took us weeks before we actually did this.
Several weeks into a worldwide pandemic to finally get us together.
Under the most optimal conditions possible.
Finally, we have time to record.
There's still a 2-week delay. Well, I mean, if I wasn't trapped with my belligerent children, it could probably be a little bit better. But I think, there's a little bit of when you meet somebody again and you talk to them again after a period of years, that can be maybe a sticky proposition.
That awkward transition to see if you still like them.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. We've done this every week for years now.
That's true.
There's no time skip between our last episode and this one at all.
We've never missed a week. We are consistent.
There's the first 14 lives of Harry August. There's this passage where it's like when you meet an old friend and you see that they have aged, you have to accept that you have also. And maybe that's difficult. Maybe it's not. But video games, wow.
Yeah, those still exist. They are still a thing.
I know we predicted on our last episode that video games were going down and would probably not be around much longer, but we were wrong. And I think we can admit that to ourselves. We can be the bigger person. And
we got egg in our face, and now they're more important than ever.
Yeah. We were wrong. Things happened that nobody expected would ever happen. Like Crackdown 3 is actually released now, and there's a new Half-Life game.
And Bannerlord came out. What in the... What?
Right, Bannerlord of all games.
Oh shit, yeah, I played a little bit of that, man. Alright, let's just get stuck into it. Fucking Bannerlord. As janky as it is right now, it has a very fun base.
It is tremendously janky. Oh my god.
I feel like that's part of the charm, I guess? From my understanding.
Yeah, I disagree. I find it mostly annoying, but the potential that it has, even at this stage, to become something truly special that eclipses the original. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do with that.
Right.
It's just cool. It's just cool to do these massive battles with thousands of NPCs right there, and you commanding and then many times failing to command effectively. It's cool. It's really cool.
They don't have to make a good video game. They don't. All they have to make is a good platform, basically, and that's all they did with the last one, right? As a video game, it was kind of garbage and a lot of esoteric systems and nothing was explained, and it was also super janky and buggy, but the foundation and the cornerstone was there for people who actually knew what they were doing to build upon and make some really great like mod packages and stuff like that.
It's the Bethesda approach to game design. Yes.
There you go. Let the community fix it in post.
Yeah, so from there, I mean, but dude, they've been patching that thing like every single day.
Yeah, credit to them. Like they hit the ground running, and they're actively working with feedback from the community. They're doing a good job. Yeah.
So that I mean, I'm proud of them. I'm happy with what it came out as. I know that I can see the potential for the future, even if it's not there right now. They made Mountain Blade 1.5, let's say. It's not even that radical of a departure, but when you want to go and get your Mountain Blade fix, you're going to open this one instead of the old one. And if you were already somebody who knew you were going to need a Mountain Blade fix at some point in the future, well, there you have it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm following the development with great interest. I can't see where that game is going to be at in like a year's time or something like that.
It looks great. So I never played the first Mountain Blade, but so is this kind of like all there is to the game? It's just kind of an open world, do whatever you want?
Yeah, pretty much. It is a huge sandbox. You don't really have to follow the main quest if you don't want to, and even if you do, like the main quest is kind of bare bones. And from what I hear, it's even missing the final act, so you can't really complete it as of now. But you can just do what you want from the start. You can go around helping various towns and kingdoms, or you can start raiding places, gathering your people so you can make an even bigger army and attack bigger cities and eventually like take over empires. Or you cannot do that at all. You could just be a merchant or a trader or something like that. It's exceedingly open. You can just do whatever the hell you like.
That's exactly
right.
It
reminds me of have you guys ever played Kenshi?
I have not, no.
It's Kenshi-esque, but not. It's more focused than Kenshi, I think.
Well, yeah, it seems like more focused and more forgiving than Kenshi, because I think the last few times I played Kenshi, I distinctly remember exiting the town and immediately getting either sold into slavery or just beaten up by random wandering merchants and left for dead.
That's actually quite close to real life back then, I guess.
I think Kenshi is too open, actually. When I tried to play it, I couldn't really get into it because there was too much going on, and also there's a lot of empty space. So you got a lot of freedom and you got a lot of empty space, but the actual day-to-day of manipulating the dudes and fighting and the actual like granularity of it, Kenshi didn't have that for me. But it had the big stuff in spades, man. Like the build your town and the world and the tribes and all the stuff was very cool, but playing it.
Yeah, I mean, same with the random encounters, like just having a town and then suddenly being besieged by a bunch of robots that want to strip your flesh and wear it.
Or when you would walk out of town and there would just be like this horde of people that just swarm the guards and just raise the town
every time.
On like day 2, right? Yeah, but see, so then you have those moments, but then you're also just like, let me put this guy at this rock and watch him hit it for 2 days and then take the steel back to town. You know, like it doesn't quite all add up there.
Yeah, so far it seems like Bannerlord has it has like that kind of like open worldness where you kind of make your town, you can take over things, but it's definitely a lot more directed. You know, like when you start off, depending on the beginning you picked, you get sent to a town to find supplies, and then from there you kind of like you're guided to what you're doing, which feels a lot more rewarding.
Yeah, you have clear goals, right? Like you always want more money, you always want more dudes, and you always want to kick more ass. So it's your decision how you want to do those things, but where you're going is pretty clear. I'm going to take over every town on this map. Maybe it's going to be 4 months from now, but that's what's going to happen.
I like that. It's a bit like Crusader Kings, like in the way it approaches characters, like the intrigue and stuff. As far as I'm aware, like from what I understand, you can like become renowned and influence the way characters view you. You can also influence that by, for instance, attacking someone's enemy so they'll like you more, so they'll help you more and get you the more powerful units and stuff. It's like an interesting little, like, almost RTS-like mechanic just built in there on top of all the other stuff.
Speaking of the RTS mechanic, touching on Kenshi, one thing that was really kind of irritating is that the map is huge, but it's bad because it makes you traverse that on foot. So there's like a lot of empty space between towns where it's literally you just clicking and watching your guy run for like 2-3 days straight with no interaction. But with like Bannerlord, it feels like it does a better job of kind of like once you leave a town, it takes you out into like that RTS like top-down view, which makes the traversal seem a lot more like manageable.
There's still some of that.
Very like.
They're still chasing some looters and just praying to God they turn down a peninsula because you just can't quite catch them. But in general, it's better, man, and it's got so much potential, dude. It's the future you got to look at. There's already a decapitation mod. There's a mod where you can voice command your troops instead of having to mess with the function keys and all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
There's a mod where smithing doesn't take stamina, so you can turn it into the game that you want it to be. And that's really all you need, I think.
I can't wait for the inevitable Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones mods. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, Lord of the Rings in Mountain Blade was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I believe I believe that immediately.
I feel like Game of Thrones has still left too much of a bad taste in people's mouths to have that happen anytime soon.
Oh, don't fucking get me started on this shit. Like,
I'm just saying, man. It's the show. It left such a bad taste in people's mouths that we've been in quarantine for like almost a month now, and nobody wants to rewatch that show. Even
though they made like HBO free for a little bit there.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm looking forward to like the potential the game has because it seems like they're really fleshing out like those kind of ground level systems to let you build off a lot more.
And once the modders get a hold of it, man, that's it. That's all you need.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, there was a big one called Prophecy of Pendor that was really, really good. And even all the stuff that was so good in Mountain Blade was a struggle for the modders. Like if you read anybody's accounts of what it was like to try and put one of those together, they were like digging in a giant vat of spaghetti and trying to find a marble to be able to make the nice kind of stuff that they did. But it came together. And this, supposedly, they are more geared towards making the modding experience easier. I think they saw where their bread was buttered, so it should be great.
Nice.
I hope that's true. Like having a healthy mod scene goes a long way to giving your game some longevity after the. And there's like people make their careers with making mods as well. Like if this is a great foundation for people to build some wonderfully imaginative stuff on top of, then yeah, I'm happy that they're making it more mod friendly this time around.
Cool. All right, so that's Bannerlord. I think that covered it. It's exciting and that's hot and that's new and that's stuff. Do you have a pivotal experience about games in the last 3 years that you want to share, or has anything super stood out to you?
All right, Jamie, speak up, mate.
I mean, I've just finished playing Doom Eternal a few days ago, and it probably is the best first-person shooter I've ever played.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, coming quite fresh off of it, like, fairly recently, so I don't want to say anything that I'm going to regret in a couple of weeks, but I definitely think every system in that game just works exactly the way it should, from the combat, without sounding too wanky about it. Every combat encounter feels like a puzzle that you have to figure out which way you want to attack the situation. You know, you've got to work out who to take out first because you've got different enemies who have so many different abilities from different ranges and close range and melee and just all these different things that they do, and different weapons obviously work differently on the different creatures. And then the whole reload thing where you have like very little ammo in that game, and you have to rely on using your chainsaw to get up close to the weaker enemies, which means you're going to want to keep a few of the weaker enemies around. But even in this game, like the weak enemies that shouldn't really pose that much of a threat can do a fair amount of damage if they get up and melee you, so you've just constantly got to be aware of everything around you.
Yeah, it's very, intense. I played like a 3 or 4 hours of that game, and I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm getting too old for this shit now. At some point, like I love the look of that game. I love the sound of that game. I love how fucking brutal it is and how much it feels like a capital VG video game, you know. But there's so much going on, and it is so high energy, and it requires you to like the skill ceiling is quite high. So it really requires you to think on your feet, and it's unrelenting in demanding that of you. And I found that was to the detriment of my enjoyment, but not because it doesn't play well. It plays amazing. Like the
you guys play computer or?
Yeah,
I
do. I played it on PC. Like it's very well done on PC as well. Even with the mouse and keyboard, makes like the already snappy movement feel even more snappy.
Oh, the movement is so fluid. Like floating, it feels like you float around these combat arenas.
Yeah, it's great. There's like there's no traction whatsoever. There's only traction. The only thing you do, you go from 0 to 100 like that. It is so fast, and I love what they've done with it. It's just I find it harder to follow now
compared to the 2016.
It's exactly that, but just better. Like
like every single aspect of that game, I feel like they took and just improved everything just enough.
Yeah.
I think it's the only game I've ever played where I've found every single collectible and completed it to 100% on my first playthrough. Just because a lot of the stuff is very easy to find. Like you can very early on in the game get upgrades that reveal everything on your map. And that doesn't necessarily make them super easy to find. There are some of them are a little bit weird, but it's just so satisfying to go through that loop of finding the secrets, and you get the little pop-up to tell you that you found a secret. And the collectibles themselves, you get soundtracks from like old Doom and Quake games. You get little toy versions of every single demon in the game, which I really fucking want because I'm a big man child.
So when games are like that well polished, that it makes you want to play it to like 100%. And do you think that's the kind of game that you'll go back to play later on, or did you get your fill of it now and you just move on?
I played for it twice, mainly because I was going for the trophies, and there's an extra life mode where you essentially collect lives that are basically the same as collectibles hidden around the world, and if you run out of lives, then it's game over. I didn't find that was a problem. I think I completed the game with like 20 extra lives or something, playing on like normal difficulty. So obviously playing on a higher difficulty will give you more mileage. So yeah, I don't really think there is that much replay value in there. But also, when I played Doom 2016, towards the end of the game, I felt like it had overstayed its welcome. There wasn't enough variation in the combat arenas, and in that game it kind of felt like there was nowhere near as many demons in. So by the time you get to the end of the game and they just throw like 4 mancubuses at you at once, and they sort of bullet sponge, and it just takes a while to take them down, everything sort of slows down a bit. Whereas in Doom Eternal, by the end of the game, the challenge disappears a bit, because you start the game out with a bit of a challenge, but by the time you start upgrading your character and getting new weapons and stuff, it trades in the actual challenge of the combat arenas more for just having a good time.
Right.
Yeah, I thought all of it was overly hectic at some point.
My only
the
complaint
first
about the
one's
game.
I've been playing FPSs since like I was in high school, right? Doom 2016, first game that ever made me sick and gave me a headache. And it was a real tragedy.
Motion sickness?
I am still mad at my fragile human body about that, because it's like the one I wanted to play the most. Like, and I just couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. I gotta figure something out.
I found it really hard to adjust going back to other games. I thought I'd try out Halo 5 the other day because it was on Xbox Game Pass, and I started playing it, and I just wanted to jump everywhere. I was just bunny hopping about the place, looking for places to grab and fly and shoot all over the shit. So it's going to be adjusting, getting back
by comparison. Like, yeah, man. That fucking soundtrack, though, it is once again amazing. Like Mick Gordon is an incredible musician and composer, and he just knocked it out of the park again, because the soundtrack is as brilliant as the one for what Doom 2016 was, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Fucking incredible. It's really nice to hear music that abrasive in like a mainstream video game, and like see it used to amazing effect with absolutely no regard for slowing down, just like the gameplay is. It's just unrelenting fucking guitar chord after blast beat after blast beat.
And chainsaws.
Oh god, yes.
The only thing in the game that I don't think is great is the multiplayer. They've done away with traditional multiplayer in favour of a asymmetrical 2v1 sort of game mode where two people play as demons and one person plays as a slayer. I don't think that that's going to have a lot of longevity to it.
It seemed really fun to me when they announced it.
It could go either way.
It's fine.
It would be smart to include the old stuff as well, like Team Deathmatch and all that. But
Yeah.
don't only lean on your brand new innovative multiplayer mode, because that's maybe not the best idea.
Looking at you, Call of Duty.
Man, I heard that Warzone was good though. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
I played a fair bit of Warzone thus far, and it got me to buy the Warfare just to see what it was all about. And I gotta say, it's I've not enjoyed a Call of Duty in years. Like, what was the last one? Maybe Black Ops 1 was the last one that I truly enjoyed. The Second World War one was alright, I guess. It was just a bit over dramatic and bombastic in the campaign.
I felt that way
like
about the actual Second World War.
Oh yeah, no, I think everybody agrees on that. But yeah, I really like Modern Warfare and Warzone by extension. Although I don't really play much of the Battle Royale portion. I play the other mode, Plunder, where you have to like accumulate as much money as possible while fighting other teams who are trying to do the same. I quite like that one.
I like the Gulag.
Yeah, that's a cool concept, isn't it? In case you're not aware, like the Gulag is where you get killed the first time around when you do the Battle Royale. So instead of getting booted back to the main menu, you get sent to a Gulag where you get matched up with somebody else who also got kicked out of the match. They 1v1 them, and if you win, you can come back into the match to have a sort of second go at it. That's, I think, the first time I've seen a mechanic like that used in a Battle Royale. And now that it's been implemented in Warzone, I'm like, it seems like such an obvious solution to like make every match like go on for a bit longer for everyone, regardless of when they're getting killed. You know.
You can also spectate and throw rocks at them.
Yeah, and if one of the people like slaps C4 on the walls during the 1v1 match, if you manage to hit it with your rock, you can take out both of them, and then you're the one going out, and instead of them.
Sounds like dodgeball.
A little bit.
Like where you get put in jail and dodgeball, and then you can still like, kind of like pitch in from the back.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm impressed at how well you guys know the rules of dodgeball. I didn't know there was a jail. Everybody seems so super casual about this dodgeball rule that I've never heard of.
Yeah, Warzone is good, man. I can wholeheartedly recommend it.
I mean, it's free, right? Jamie, tell me about this Game Pass thing, man, because everybody's going nuts about it, but I haven't bothered to interact with it. But it's supposed to be super cheap and like tons of games on it.
It's great.
Yeah. It is great. As someone who like barely plays Xbox, when Crackdown 3 came, I signed up 3 months of Xbox Game Pass for I think £1. So I ended up being able to play Crackdown 3 on launch day for
all 5 hours of it.
All 5 hours. I didn't even complete it.
I think hardly anyone did. That game was this is not great.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox Game Pass is brilliant in theory. I'm not sure about the longevity of it. I don't know how long a company can go on just essentially giving away all of their like brand new releases. I think like Gears 4 was on there as soon as that came out. Gears 5 I think is on there. Microsoft are going to be spending a lot of money on these games, and then not getting back anywhere near as much money as they would be normally.
I mean, they're probably like most of their first-party titles nowadays have live to it that is supported by microtransactions. So one would assume that that is where most of the like return of investment comes from. And at this point, like you see the numbers that other publishers are doing, like Ubisoft and EA. Like microtransactions account for the vast majority of their income. So maybe this is true for Microsoft as well as it is for many others. That is one way to make all of this sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest though, I don't necessarily think it's really like the people that are signing up for Game Pass aren't necessarily the same demographic that's going to go buy the game anyway. I feel like that's just kind of an additional income because at least in my case, I Game Pass is great, and I've mostly used it to play games that I probably wasn't going to buy either way. Like what is it? Outer Worlds, Obsidian.
Yeah.
Fantastic game. Never got around to buying it because it was on Game Pass, and I mean, I've been keeping the Game Pass subscription just because of that alone.
Oh wait, which one is that? Hold on, I might want to talk about it. Is that the Fallout one or is that the other one?
Yeah,
with the
it's
Groundhog
the
Day.
Fallout one.
Oh man, I
one
want
is
to talk about the
Outer
Groundhog Day one. Darn it!
Outer Wilds is fantastic.
Did anybody play the Groundhog Day one?
I played a tiny little bit of it.
Cause that shit was rad.
I keep hearing that it's amazing. Yeah.
It's really good until it's not. Like
as most things are.
Right, yeah, it gets to be a little bit busy worky, but like the first, let's say 85% of that game where it's all exploration and you're learning new things and filling out the journal and discovering all this stuff about the way the world works. Oh man, masterclass. Phenomenal. And you should just, when it starts to get boring, just walk away and just walk away.
Huh.
Because part of it is like working through these sequences because it is the time loop thing, right? So working through these sequences over and over again can get a bit monotonous and like redoing all these steps, and there are steps that involve just waiting until 70% of the loop is over, right? And that part of it I could do without.
Right.
But the exploration part, man, oh man, driving that little spaceship around and like going, the way they designed the planets, the creativity at work there.
Yeah, the design is very cool in that game.
I don't know what they call that chunky kind of animated style is, but I've always been a sucker for it. It's reminiscent of WoW-ish, kind of cartoony.
Yeah, it's like cartoony, but yeah.
It looks a lot better than the Outer Worlds does, though. Fuck.
God, Outer Worlds is a great start, but it feels very unfinished.
Yeah, it floundered for me in terms of pacing and gameplay after about 10 hours with it. Like, the actual like shooting mechanics, they're not very good. They're just not.
Yeah, like gameplay in general is shallow, because you can tell because you can do a whole, I mean, unless you're playing on the hardest difficulty, you can do a whole run without really investing any leveling points whatsoever.
Yeah. Like,
how does it compare to Fallout 4?
It's better, I guess. Like, I'm not wild
enthusiasm.
I don't know, like, I guess from a story perspective, it's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't
want
know,
you to
like,
compare it to
it's
New
hard to say.
Vegas, I think, is what everybody wants, because that was like the last good one.
I mean, if you compare it to New Vegas, it falls completely short. But I think it just makes like the budget very apparent. Like differences are very apparent in New Vegas because they had Bethesda backing them, so they were able to put in so much more effort in terms of like the variety. Just even on the art design alone, the variety in weapons, armor, like different NPCs you run into. With like Outer Worlds, it just feels like a lot. It feels like 20% of a game that just got copy and pasted over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
At least in terms of like
I
the
felt like
aesthetic.
that. I felt like that too. It is like a more focused game than Fallout 4 is, which kind of goes to show that you can that you can make like a Bethesda style game with less resources than Bethesda has and still succeed in what you're trying to do. Because that game, like, if it would have come out like 2 years ago, something like that, it probably wouldn't have made the waves it now, but because Fallout 76 is like a thing, and it sort of alongside that, it sort of showed again how mismanaged Bethesda's open world RPGs are.
Yeah, that's true.
Fallout 76 was a perfect marketing device for the Outer Worlds.
Oh god, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know, I enjoyed Outer Worlds. It's just it's just one of those games that you enjoy it, but after you're done, all it leaves behind is kind of like this sense of like how they could have done more.
Yeah.
I know, like you get a ship in the very beginning of the game, which is great because the ship acts as kind of like your home base, and when you collect your party members, they each have their own room, and like you can kind of, I guess, decorate their rooms a little bit as you go gathering miscellaneous things, but like it never gets further than that. So it starts off as this potentially really interesting set piece, and it just kind of gets relegated to just a background hub that you don't really interact with after that.
Yeah. So it's like with the art style, I like that they took like color blindness into account when they designed everything. But as a result of that, I think that the color palette that they've used for pretty much everything in this game is very garish and not very nice to look at.
Ooh, put
Yeah,
that
there's
on the
that
box.
too.
Very garish, Christopher Anderson. Go
Not
get
very
him.
nice to look at.
Yeah, I thought
I
it
mean,
was. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still enjoyable. I mean, if you I'd pay the $1 on Xbox Game Pass and play it.
Definitely. I can say the same as Sea of Thieves, you know. But yeah, Game Pass is a very good like value proposition. I've been subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate for since it came out actually, and I just really enjoy that use both my Xbox and my PC. It's nice. Yeah, I think this is one of the things this generation at Microsoft has definitely done right. And,
I think.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just think that Game Pass would be an amazing success if they could strike some sort of deal with, at least Nintendo. If you could get on the Switch Game Pass, because the Switch user base is obviously a user base that's never going to buy those games anyway, right? Those people are never going to buy Halo or Gears if they don't have an Xbox. But if you put that system on there, then you can have these people who can then just funnel additional money into Microsoft through Nintendo and be able to play games like Gears of War, but essentially mobile.
Dude, I am tired of paying that Switch tax, man.
Yeah, which
That's
I love
kinda-
the Switch though. It's been a godsend during this little pandemic.
I love my Switch, man, but I'm having
Wait,
to
do you really
rebuy.
need a portable device now?
Yes.
It's not like you're not allowed to go anywhere.
Yes.
I do because my wife won't get off the TV with Animal Crossing. So like, what am I gonna do? I could sit on
Animal
the
Crossing is a great game too, actually.
Well.
I mean, it's not
Everybody's allowed to think, whatever they want. There's no thought crimes yet, but it has some low points, I guess. Also, I would add to the fact that I've played it, 3 or 4 times now. So
Yeah, that'll do it.
yeah, it may have lost a little bit of the charm for me. Because I played like all the DS ones and everything, so this one doesn't.
I hear going online and visiting somebody else's island is a pain.
Yeah,
You know,
dude,
see, that part-
it's the worst.
Why
I'd
is
say
that?
it's a pain if you're if you're doing it on the same Switch, that's a hassle. But there's just like a lot of steps to jump through to actually visit someone's town. You have to go to your little airport, signal that you want to go somewhere, signal like what type of connection you want to make. You have to actually search for them. It's like this whole process.
And then if you're on the island, every time that anybody comes over, it just pauses the game basically for, I don't know, let's say 3 minutes maybe, while you watch their airplane land, and there's like these little bubbles that fill up, and like while the internet tries to connect, you have to tell it that you want to connect to the internet, even though the Switch is already connected to the internet. Just do it. Just do the thing.
But why? Why is it so hard for Nintendo to figure out like line?
I think at this point it's a feature, not a bug. I think that they want their locked down online environments. I think that they do it on purpose because it makes them feel, I don't know, safer or something. But it's really just more of a hassle.
Could be.
However, let me tell you though that game is very pretty for an Animal Crossing game compared to the one on the DS. It's
Very
gorgeous.
what? Come again, sorry?
It's pretty. It's gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah.
I mean, there's like a lot of random attention to detail you wouldn't think otherwise. With like, it has a really simple AI, so the villagers will run around do their own thing. But I mean, you constantly see them interacting with like whatever's laid out. So they'll sit on random benches, play books. They'll randomly start singing in the middle of a plaza, and you can put like a stereo in front of it and put different music, and they'll sing to whatever music you put on. So, I mean, it's like just random little things that
Oh, that's cool.
shows a lot of care for the game.
Lots of villagers
like
this
that.
time too. Like a really crowded kind of town. You get a lot of people. I think maybe it was 3 or 4 on the last one I played. This one I think goes up to 10.
Yeah, 10. And there's a really weird community of people that I guess they're trying to, they don't know how to force people to move out. So there's like this whole section of videos on YouTube of people just abusing the villagers, trying to get them to move out and bully them away.
How do you get them to move out, by the way? That's been a complaint in my house that's been brought before me, and I haven't been able to...
Nobody knows really. It's like there's a mix of psychological abuse and torture where you can just hit them every day with a net, or you can just not talk to them for a while. I think the only surefire way of getting somebody to move out is eventually if you get another villager to camp, like to hit your campsite, you can keep bugging them until they ask if they can move in, and they'll randomly ask one of your villagers to leave. So then they'll just swap out.
I downloaded, or I ordered some like NFC tags.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can
To get
like,
amiibos.
yeah, make them into amiibos, and then you just move them in, and I think it causes like somebody to move out at that point when you try to bring
Yeah, I
in
mean
a new
that's. Yeah, I think that's the only like guaranteed way, because otherwise, like, the game has a lot of really weird underlying systems that aren't explained, and people are just kind of randomly piecing it together as you go along. So, getting them to move out is just kind of like an experiment in frustration.
Yeah, there's a few things in the game that I would classify that way too.
It's like the goddamn tarantula hunting.
I don't know, man. Like they love it, man. Like they play it all the time. So it's just not for me. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those games that's just like a lighthearted escape. You know, there's nothing really stressful about it. Like 90% of the game is just going around farming, collecting furniture, and just designing stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seems very like wholesome and chilled and
Oh, it
laid
is,
back.
man. The whole game is just super relaxing and very, very chill, which is probably why I don't.
Apart from, you know, torturing the locals so they move elsewhere.
I mean, you know, like as one does.
It's
It is only
colonialism,
human.
right? The video game version.
That's right.
So, anything else?
I think I've realized that I'm just at an age where I can't appreciate a lot of games.
Huh.
Red Dead Redemption 2 was a game that I just absolutely loathe.
Oh,
Even though
you need to
that-
do that. I almost bought that as a quarantine game, and I was like, how much player choice is in this? Because I hate that. And I was
All right,
just,
let's get into it.
I was just
No,
gonna
no,
open.
man. It's just like that game just got raving reviews, and I remember enjoying the last one. So I'm like, dude, I can't wait for this. It's been so long, and I picked it up, and it just I guess like the first 10 minutes is kind of cool. It's really immersive. You know, you're riding your horse to the next town and doing all these kind of like very immersive things, but the game keeps forcing you to rehash that very slow, boring grind every single time, and I'm just like, this is not fun.
Which
like,
grind
I
is
should
that
have to
do that.
specifically?
It's just like the random game mechanics. I mean, like having a ride, you know, real time to the next town or to find it, or like the
It's,
hunting. It's just
It's a very slow game by design. Like it puts its feet like in simulator territory in quite a lot of points, which means that picking up items is not like in most video games. You walk next to an item, you hammer X like a madman to absorb magically all the items around you, then you go along your merry way. It doesn't really work like that in Red Dead Redemption 2. When you're like looting a house, you are opening cabinets, you are seeing animations for the main character picking up everything from every shelf and putting it in his bag and stuff. That is, like, the gameplay is slow. Oftentimes you're walking slow, or you're riding on the things are quite spread out, so there's like a lot of negative space, I guess, or downtime in between going from town to town. And that I can see how that can grind somebody's gears a bit, especially because like the fucking campaign is like 100 hours if you want to finish the entire story with all the side content.
Yeah,
so
most of it is just like dull conversation and just slow traveling.
Really depends on what you want out of a game, I guess. Like, I agree with everything that you say. It's horribly slow, and quite often it can be to a fault. But I don't know, man. I clicked into that experience from the first minute, and it let me play through it twice on the Xbox and
I don't know what it was. For me, it didn't click. I think like the actual gameplay moments of it were great. Like the shootouts were fantastic. When you get to a town and you're kind of like handling like the story beats are great.
Yeah.
But the pacing between those beats just seems so sporadic in terms of like what you're doing. It just, I don't know. For me, it felt very just spastic in terms of you have a great shootout scene, then it followed like a very slow trudging scene through the mountains, walking in the middle of the blizzard, slow, and it's like, okay, this is annoying.
There is like one mission at some point where you're working with the suffragettes, and it's like a horse cart ride into town, and on the back of the cart there's like a whole bunch of women singing suffragette songs, and the whole sequence, including like a speech in the center of town and stuff, the whole sequence takes like 10 minutes, and nothing much really happens. You're just a witness to an event, essentially. And that can be implied to most of the things that happen in Red Dead Redemption. You instead of like the mechanics being the center stage, it's you, the character, being in a specific situation the entire time. And shooting and chase sequences as much of it. What's more part of it is basically just immersing yourself in being a fucking cowboy and doing all the cowboy things that you want to do. But yeah, it is very slow and can be quite tedious at times. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just, for me, I think the expectation, because I was expecting, like, you say, just like a nice cowboy game, and what I ended up getting was like a cowboy simulator, which...
I mean, the first one was like that as well. It was already quite slow.
I don't know, man. Like, I maybe it's just like the time that's gone by, and it just has that gameplay style hasn't aged well enough for me. But
that's fair enough. Like,
yeah.
But it's like the thing that kept me coming back to that game was the world design. I've never seen a video game world that looks that good and looks that realistic, even though the scale is quite small of the map. Yeah,
I'll say that. Like, there's definitely a lot of attention to detail where like the world,
an insane amount of attention to detail. Like animals behaving like animals actually would. There's like 150 kinds of them. Like every bird you see flying around, bird you can shoot down, and there's like hundreds of unique animations that all interact with each other dynamically in the game.
I could have done without the horse testicles shrinking in cold weather, but I mean,
but like that just goes to show like how fucking nuts they were when they approached the design of the game. Like shit like that being in there. Like I don't care if my horse's testicles shrink in cold weather. I don't give a flying fuck. But I kind of love that it's there because they went over and beyond to like create a world that felt real. And I know this is a buzzword. It does feel like a living world because of it.
Hey, there was some developer that had us do 10-minute stand-ups every day for a couple of months to discuss the progress of that horse testicles shrinking in the weather, right? So show some appreciation.
Did you finish
ridiculous.
it? Did you finish it, Enrique?
No, it's like I didn't put it down because of some terrible disdain. I know like I'm speaking of it a lot more negatively in retrospect, but it was just kind of a game that didn't hook me the way Chris did, so I wanted to keep playing it. I put it down to play something else, and just nothing motivated me to pick it back up.
Yeah, I think, like, is Red Dead Redemption 2 a good game? I don't think it is. Like, the shooting mechanics are slow and mediocre at best. It's a very directed experience in story missions. Like, Rockstar's got a script. You have to stick to it, and if you don't, it's a game over for you, buddy. Like, Shit like that happens a lot in those games. But
Yeah, and that's bothered me for a while because GTA 3, the whole thing was like that was like the first big open world game where you could really tackle things in a different way, and
yeah. Well, you
You-
can
you-
do that.
you could
as
have-
story missions, but like the game has a very specific story it wants to tell you, and as such, you have very. However, what you do outside of story missions is entirely up to you. But like to finish my point, do I think it's a good game? No. But do I think it's a good experience? I think it's an amazing experience. I think it's my favorite gaming experience I've ever had. Like, and I can say that without joking or anything like that. It's captivated me in a way that no game ever has. So yeah, but if you're into systems, this is not your game. If you're into raw like snappy mechanics, this is definitely not your game.
Yeah,
but
or
if you
gotta
like,
be ready to watch a movie, right? Or
Yeah.
more
yeah,
movie-
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to like
Watch a Western.
disappear into a world for a couple of hours? Like it's a game that sells you on a world on a level that I've never really seen in a video game.
Because let me tell you, I tried to play Grand Theft Auto 5, and they wanted me to go around with a dog and look in some train cars, and I immediately uninstalled it and never reinstalled it. That was such a garbage sequence. I was like, "You're not."
Yeah, okay.
That's it. We're done.
It's not for you, my friend.
Yeah.
They were like, "Look in 7 train cars with this dog," and I was like, "No, Every train
mind.
car takes 45 seconds to pull the actually heavy door open."
Oh yeah, you're gonna fucking hate Rootin' Tootin' Cowboy Shooting too.
yeah, and then the
However,
dog
the
runs
setting
off and
is-
starts humping another dog. It was
Yeah.
a 12-year-old.
And then an app tells you that you can train your dog by doing things. And I don't think anybody's ever done that. I never used that dog. Yeah, Red Dead is simply an amazing experience, but it has its faults that rightfully bother a lot of people. But it did not bother me. I still play that game. I still just go on fucking like camping trips inside a fucking video game. It's madness. It's like the
Right. I might
Jesus.
give it another shot if I run out of things to play that are fun.
just use a fucking trainer or something like that to make the game stupid easy and just go nuts. It's a really fun sandbox. Anyway, that's quite enough of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I will keep that in mind. And there's definitely something there. I just have to decide if that's
I
what
might
I'm up
stream
for.
that on the channel actually at some point.
Because I'm really
Maybe that would
looking
be
at
fun.
it and thinking about it. We'll see.
I could recommend it, but just know what you're getting yourself into.
Yep.
This is not high octane. This is not Doom Eternal. This this is a documentary mixed with some embellished history.
I
that
love
you
the
just
setting though.
get
the,
to play.
The Western setting is phenomenal.
It's great. It's fantastic. Anyway,
definitely
I'm
a
just
lot of
going to stop
mechanics in
talking
it.
about it because I'll just keep reverting back to saying it's good. This is not the Chris talks about Red Dead Redemption 2 happy hour.
Got to talk about something,
That's it.
right?
Did any of you guys play the Final Fantasy VII remake?
I did not.
No.
I don't
Didn't.
have a PlayStation
Here's what I've
4.
heard though. I've heard that in the original Final Fantasy VII, in the bar, there's like a picture of a sign that says Texas, and that they removed it in the remake. And so now the hubbub is Texas a place in the Final Fantasy universe?
What?
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a sign in the bar underneath that says beer that says Texas. And then there's another sign somewhere else that says like Texas Cowboy Club or something. This is in the original Final Fantasy VII. And then in the remake, all of that stuff is gone. Conspiracy theory for you there.
But yeah, I've not played the remake, but I am watching like the movie edit of all the relevant cutscenes on
So-
YouTube, and it looks unreal.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It's fun. They're definitely very nostalgic, but I think a lot of people are probably going to be really upset with it.
Right.
because I guess without going into too much spoilers, I will say the game is not a remake; it's a sequel.
What? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested now. I wasn't before, but now I kind of am.
Like, I mean, it's. Fuck it, I'm gonna spoil it. So, are you guys okay if I spoil this?
Yeah,
He's
go
gonna
for
spoil
it,
this
man.
15-year-old game.
Yeah, you've always
So-
been the bad boy, so go for it.
All right. Well, I guess Final Fantasy VII Remake spoilers incoming. So, the story is written by I forget the name, but the guys that are actually handle the Kingdom Hearts production and story. So you can expect a similar level of just time fuckery and just convolutedness.
Oh, great! That worked so well for Kingdom Hearts.
When I say like Final Fantasy VII Remake is a sequel, it literally is a sequel. The game itself is technically takes place after the original events of Final Fantasy VII, but Sephiroth has time traveled to that original timeline and is trying to change things.
Wait, what?
So you're
Kind of
playing
wild.
what starts off as you thinking it's Final Fantasy VII for the first time, but it's actually like I guess a different timeline. So there's like subtle differences that happen, and then I mean it leaves off on a great cliffhanger. But I think the reason people are going to be so upset about it is because it's handled so sloppily, and I guess those twists are thrown at you like so in such a like convoluted manner that it just causes more confusion before it has any time to kind of like sink in.
They Bioshock Infinited this bitch.
They did, seriously. So I mean, like you're not. It's got like the similar beats from the first game, and then like I think about 2/3 of the way, it starts going off the beaten path, and some key things change from the original timeline, where things like make you realize like holy fucking shit, what is going on here? But it just does it so bad and poorly, where they just like Sephiroth just comes in and completely like just shits all over everything that's been happening so far. And the revelation is so confusing, which is a shame because it ends on a really interesting cliffhanger that like has a lot of potential going forward, which makes you curious to what's going to happen. But
Like
it
a,
just
like a portal opens up and Mickey Mouse comes out of it.
hi guys. Oh boy. No, but I mean, like it's a interesting take on it, and like it's kind of cool when you see the revelation. It's just I think a lot of people they need to realize going in there that this is not a remake, because I think a lot of people are expecting to have that kind of like one-for-one nostalgia from the original game, and they're gonna get like a really interesting surprise.
From what I've heard, basically the sequel or the second part is basically going to be like completely different, right? It's going to be following on this new story. See, that's exciting, right? That's got to be exciting for anyone who likes Final Fantasy VII to essentially get new Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just keep in mind that it's a sequel, so like people that are going in there expecting just to kind of have a nice little trip down memory lane are probably gonna get that ripped out from under them.
Is there enough in there for anyone who wants to get that fixed to sort of get that fixed before they're moved
It's
on
like,
to the
it's like 30 hours long.
Oh,
So
for sure,
I'm
dude. It's just kind of like the first arc, and it takes place entirely in Midgard, and it's got, I'd say, a good like probably 80% of like the stuff from the original game on there, where it feels like it's like play for play the original game. So I mean, you'll definitely get that fixed on there. I think it's just the big twist at the ending caught so many people off guard that it left a really frustrating taste in their mouth.
Yeah, the next one's going to come out, and then we discover, oh shit, it's Frog Fractions 3. The mad bastards finally did it.
I would clap for that, but the Discord would cancel it out. So just pretend I'm clapping.
I like that they're making like good remakes now.
I mean,
Instead of
it's-
going like for a quick buck remaster, they're actually going back and completely reimagining the games like they were back then. Like they did it with Resident Evil 2 and 3 now. The two Modern Warfares have been remastered and they look great.
I'm just waiting for Resident Evil 4 remastered. That's like the magnum opus of Resident Evil games for me.
I mean, they have to do that at some point, right? Like the remakes are really popular and doing quite well with those. Might as well do 4.
See, I'm really interested in a Resident Evil 5 remaster because Resident Evil 4 is a good game.
Right.
Which
So-
one was 5 in the one in Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
it was, yeah.
But 4's a good game, so like I can happily go back and play 4 anytime.
4 is almost.
Whereas
perfect.
5 could really use the help of a remake.
I mean, 5 still it had the fun co-op component to it. But
Oh yeah, it was much better in co-op.
I've been
It
waiting
wasn't really
for
a horror
probably
game
11 years to play 5 because I assume I need to play it with somebody.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The AI is horrendous.
Yeah, it was goddamn terrible.
So maybe it'll be
here's
just in time.
Jumping a topic for a sec here, but has any of you played Death Stranding?
Dude, that was my next thing.
Alright,
want
So I want to
wanna
talk
play-
about this.
I have not played it, but I've followed it enough to know how that game plays a bit. Like I'm gonna get it when it comes. Again, like with Red Dead Redemption, it's just a huge fucking walking simulator with some action elements like stacked on top of it. I
Which
quite
is
like
weird,
that.
'cause
Alright.
I could enjoy that in Red Dead, but I'm actively looking forward to it for this.
I feel the same
My
way.
dude, it is too close to life for me. I work as a messenger. There's a pandemic going. Nobody can go out, and I still have to deliver packages. It is my life, so I want to do that. I want to see more of that.
It's coming to PC, right?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
All right, so Jamie, tell us, please, what do you think of Death Stranding?
So there's parts of it that I really enjoy, but for me, I personally feel like the game has too many mechanics.
Right.
I feel like it's very comparable to a game like Shadow of the Colossus, but whereas Shadow of the Colossus was a very simple game where the whole point is that it's like that game basically has one mechanic, which is traveling the world, finding a Colossus, climbing it, and killing it. And it works so well because it's one incredibly refined mechanic in this beautiful world. And I think that if Death Stranding had gone for the similar thing and just been this essentially a walking simulator in this big beautiful world, I would have really enjoyed that side of things. The bits I don't enjoy are the combat and the sort of sneaky bits. I don't think they're particularly well introduced to you. Like the first time that you get introduced to the whole sneaking segment of the game, you go to this place and you leave it, and then you're expected to sneak past some things that you can kind of see but kind of can't. And evidently I did something wrong because I got attacked by a big fucking whale.
Wait,
Right.
a whale?
Yeah, a whale.
Like from the ocean.
Yeah, it just came out of the ground and attacked me because I did something wrong. And then I kind of just had to run away from it.
Did it scold you? Did it wag its finger?
Just look at you. Just
Oh, you did a no-no. Watch out for the land whale.
It's like instead of invisible wall, Hideo Kojima just chucks an entire whale at you.
Yeah, so as insane as that sounds, imagine
I'm
how
expecting-
insane it is to fucking play that, and you're not expecting it. You think that you got to do a nice little sneaky section, and then suddenly there's a fucking sea mammal attacking.
I mean, I was fully expecting you to get attacked by one of those invisible things you had to sneak by, not a whale.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. It's Kojima.
This,
And I
this
guess
is a world where people, when they die, right, they explode and they leave an enormous crater. Why? I don't know, but it happens.
yeah, I think the game's bogged down by too many mechanics, and maybe people thought it would have been too boring if it was just walking from place to place. But
Might be, yeah.
I think that can work. As I say, Shadow of the Colossus is very much a game about sort of just traveling around this world and being there. And I
But
think that this
let me
could have
pitch
been
you
the same.
this. What if Shadow of the Colossus wasn't weird enough?
Yeah, what if you needed a story on top of that about some abstract social political concepts?
With
That is
Norman Reedus.
like an analogy for yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting into a trap with the game as well, where I'm trying to piece together the parts of the story to figure out what's going on, but there's also a part of me that feels like even Kojima doesn't really know what's going on. He was just throwing a bunch of shit in there, like, hey, wouldn't it be weird if whales attacked?
I mean, the thing I take away from everything that I've seen in that game is, and like the main philosophy behind it seems to be, with liking each other's stuff, we make the world better. It's like you like somebody's post enough, and suddenly there's a bit of road, and there's a car,
It's not. It's more than just the weirdness, though, right? It's the commitment to the weirdness and the level of detail contained within the weirdness.
Conan O'Brien is in this, and he gives you the ability to slide down rivers while pretending you're an otter, while you're being Norman Reedus, who is a delivery guy who fights against invisible beings by chucking his poo at it.
Now listen, if you turn that down, even 5%. It sucks and it's awful and it's stupid and contrived, right? You have to hold the pedal all the way down constantly and never let up, and you get a masterpiece. But if you falter for even 1 second, it turns into garbage.
The rain ages everything by thousands of years a second.
Yep.
I'm excited to play that game. I'm in. I'm all in for that kind of stuff. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is Norman Reedus having conversations with Troy Baker, while some other Hollywood dudes are fighting in some First World War fucking thing.
And Guillermo del Toro's face is there, but his voice is...
He needs the babies to see the invisible people.
I'm all in.
Oh,
This is all very clear to me now.
Oh, if you guys are going to be playing it on PC, you're fucking in luck, because I'm playing it on the PlayStation 4, which has a fucking microphone or a speaker in the controller, and when the little baby on your chest in the bottle cries, comes out of the controller.
Ugh.
So I'm like wandering around this game with my controller crying at me.
Yeah, I don't like that. Mm-mm.
Oh man.
Sam, listen to me. You have never seen monster cans that beautiful in your entire life. Those are the sleekest, most well-designed digital representations of Monster Energy drink cans that you have ever seen in a visual medium.
Yeah, when that whole thing came out about there's monster in this game, I thought it was just going to be like there were some cans on this. It's a mechanic. It's a fucking mechanic.
You can go to the bathroom so you can turn your excrement into bullets or whatever the fuck. and when the door to your toilet closes, an ad pops up for a TV show on real life TV when Norman fucking cycle. This is an in-universe advertisement for a program of the actor that plays the main guy.
Huh.
It is so weird, man.
I love everything about that.
I'm okay with it, yeah. There's nothing about that sentence I didn't love.
It's balls to the walls insanity.
When's
it good?
When's
I
the
don't
release
know.
date?
Is it captivating? Oh god, yes.
When does it come out for PC?
I don't know. Like a couple months. It's supposed to be this year.
Yeah. One thing I'm like looking forward to on PC though is that like a lot of it is also it has like that shared asynchronous multiplayer where people can like build roads and bridges, and like I guess like everyone contributes to it and it helps build it in everybody's game.
The internet says June 2nd.
Sam.
Yep.
Listen to me. You are a man bridging America again, and you are called Sam Porter Bridges.
No!
He bridges the things. He's got bridges.
And he is also a porter.
That's the name that I have. It's the name that I have plus the thing you do in the game.
You've got a nice low growly voice as well, so you've got a connection
The
going
game was
there.
made for me. It was made for me.
It's calling to you.
June 2nd, I'm in. Let's go. I'm probably not going anywhere still then.
No, it seems like 2020 is a bit of a write-off.
At least for summer.
There's a bit where you have to because obviously you have to play games about taking stuff to play. You have to take this fucking dead body, and having this dead body strapped to your back is probably one of the most hilarious sights in the game.
Oh. So it's like real-time inventory management.
Yeah, that aspect of the game is very good. Obviously, like you can only carry so much stuff at a time on your back, but you can also strap either cargo or bits of equipment to your body, so you can have like one on each shoulder and one on each thigh, which takes some of the weight off your back, which means that you're not gonna lose your balance as quickly, and also the stuff that you carry on your arms and your legs and stuff doesn't get damaged if you fall over. or doesn't get damaged as much if you fall over.
Speaking of carrying things, fucking Jeff Keighley's in it.
Oh,
Wait, really?
Of course he is.
I mean, I know Conan O'Brien's in it, and he's got a great otter suit.
I don't know if that's true or not. This is the world I'm in. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know.
It is. It is, my dude. You slide down the river, pretend, and you're like moving your hands as an otter, like smashing a bit of food with a rock. This is something that's actually in the game.
Otters hold hands when they sleep, so they don't drift apart.
Yeah, that's very cute.
Oh my goodness, it's adorable. Okay, cool. I'm gonna cut it off now because I don't actually want to hear any more about it. I've been sold, and June 2nd is what my phone says is when the game comes out. So
yeah, something to look forward to in these trying times.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's either going to be insanely boring or it's going to be like an obsession for me for a few weeks. Although you have to sit through hours upon hours of nonsensical cutscenes.
So here's
But I feel like, in that sense, Kojima's kind of like just an experimental filmmaker that everyone just kind of gives him a pass because that's what he does.
Did people give him a pass for Death Stranding? There was a lot of criticism came out, especially for the story.
Well, it depends on what you catalog as giving a pass. You know, is it sales?
Yeah, I guess
is
so.
it like Metacritic? Is it? You know, because people. I mean, if you write it off and you go, "Oh, this is wacky, I'm out," right? You still kind of gave him a pass. You're like, "Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not for me."
Right.
However, if you said this is garbage, then yeah, you're not giving him a pass. I don't know. Let's say it was controversial, maybe, and leave it at that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I saw quite a few articles that went like, okay, this is why Konami should not have given more money to Kojima. If this is Kojima with a blank check. I don't know, that dude's weird, and he consistently makes stuff that's at the very least memorable. It doesn't always hit the mark, but he is a very unique voice in gaming right now, which is a pretty big thing when you've got your Ubisofts and your EAs and stuff. He's not really afraid to take risks and be uncompromising when it comes to his vision, and that's a good voice to have, regardless.
Well, that gulf between AAA and indie is only getting wider and wider and wider as AAA absorbs more studios, they take less risks, and then if you want new and interesting stuff, you got to go with indie, but then you're all the way sort of towards the bottom of the barrel as far as production values go, which doesn't mean bad, it's just a fact. And the high production value, but also taking a risk as far as mechanics or gameplay or style or anything is less common.
Yeah, I don't go for indies as often, but that's because like I really like open world video games, and I like worlds that feel real. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, you have to do that with a large budget and a lot of tech behind it.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
I was very disappointed when Ninja Theory got bought by Microsoft because, as much as I personally cannot fucking stand Hellblade, that was a game that completely marketed itself on being like, we're AAA indie, we're the new middle market.
Yeah,
and then as soon as like Microsoft flashed their cash, they were like, yeah, fuck that whole middle market thing. We're going to develop this huge AAA launch title for the new X.
Is that are they the Ninja Gaiden studio? Is it is that Ninja Theory?
No, that's Team Ninja.
Oh right.
Wow. I can see the confusion.
I haven't played a Ninja Gaiden game. I'm not overly familiar. I've not played Senua either, so I'm not too familiar.
You're not missing much with Ninja Gaiden. They haven't really changed much in it.
Good to know.
Here is a question that I want to bring to the table. What is the future of cloud gaming?
It's not here yet.
Okay, I agree with you, yeah, but it is the future, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not sure. No.
Like, are you referring to kind of streaming games?
Yes. Because I think that it's going to end up that way eventually, because at that point there's no way to not buy the shit. It gives them complete control of the ecosystem.
Esports are going to be quite hard to do if everything is streaming something, especially something like racing or FPSs, where you need as little latency as possible and the highest frame rate that you can get. And that's and you get like a lot of input latency with that stuff as well. Even if it's like milliseconds, it's gonna pretty much fuck up your entire game. So I don't really see it becoming a thing for the esports community. And I'm sure a lot of enthusiasts like you and I will probably not be going for streaming for a good long while. And you see that because Stadia's fucking flopping. It went free a couple days ago, and nobody noticed. You know,
I was really impressed with when they ran Odyssey, the beta where they had Assassin's Creed Odyssey in it. I was very impressed.
Yeah, games like that it would work with, definitely. But anything where you need quick reflexes.
And then it came down, so I'm looking at it, and I think from the perspective of if you get access to some kind of crazy supercomputer that you can't have in your house, and like that's what you're paying for, I'm on board with the downsides, with the control inputs and all that stuff for exactly that, for like, you know, games like Odyssey or Red Dead 2. Like I was thinking about buying Red Dead 2 on Stadia itself, actually. Just it's easy to pick up and play, but then I realized you're not getting some crazy supercomputer, you're just getting a mid-range PC that streams over the cloud. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I thought it was, and that's not exciting to me at all, because I have a better computer right here. I don't need that, you know. But I don't know if the Steam Link can go up to those resolutions or not, but I could just run the HDMI through the wall. But still, if it ever was that point where I don't have to keep a PC, I just grab a controller and fire up the TV and I'm off to the races, and it is some crazy computer that I couldn't possibly fit in my house, then yeah, man, I'm in. But it's not there yet.
How does licensing work with those games? Like, do you actually own that game, or do you just kind of like...
I mean...
Same way you own stuff on Steam, right? If it ever disappears, it's gone.
Yeah, Stadia just stops, and it's Google, so it could stop at like 3 years randomly. But
that is
you
definitely
lose everything.
One of the biggest pain points for sure.
Yeah, Google tends to shut down projects that are not really expecting or not really performing to their expectations.
Hey man, you got to move fast and break stuff. That's the, you know.
I guess, but that's a bit more of a problem when it concerns like a storefront where you ask people to pay to be able to play something on their subscription service. Yeah. So there's even less tangibility than something like a Steam thing, where you don't really need a subscription in order to get the games. You just need to buy the games. But I don't see it working. Apparently, if you live in the great state of California, everything goes well because you're quite close to where Google is, you know. Anything outside of that, people have reported problems. And apparently their 4K stream quite often is not even 4K. It's a lower resolution, upscaled.
Yeah, I think it's 1440 or something like that. And
exactly.
They made that in the same announcement where they said, hey, it's going free for everybody for 2 months. They're also like, hey, we understand how bandwidth works, so everything's going to be 1080p by default. And you're like, well, wait a minute, dude. What? you just open the floodgates, and then because there's not enough bandwidth, you turned everybody down. And I guess you have to go in and change a setting to fix it or something. But like, come on now. Which
and they said like, it's like during this campaign that they're running right now, everything's free. They're like, all right, if you already have this, we're not going to charge you for 2 months. It's like, it's got to really make 15 people really happy.
I have it. I actually do have it, and it doesn't matter, right? I mean, the free games they were giving out weren't that great anyway to begin with. Because I think some version of this would really suit me, man. Like, if I could tap into a crazy PC that's better than what I can have through the internet, like some kind of processing power to build a world that couldn't exist in my space with my hardware, and then also if I could rent a game, maybe? Like, I play games once, you know? There's a price point where you could let me rent Red Dead for like $5 a month or something, and I would be fine, because I don't need to play it again.
That's like, coming off of that and going back to your like original question though, I think like cloud gaming could be the future down the line, but right now there's just so many different things that it depends on with, you know, the technology, the support, the streaming capabilities of it. So I don't think that's anything we're going to see like necessarily in the near future.
I would rather do it locally anyway because I like to mod my games, and that's going to be quite hard when you're just
Ooh, that's a good point.
renting. Yeah, when you're just playing it on some server somewhere in a server farm, you can't really mess with INIs or something like that.
That is totally true. I also enjoy a good mod. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. So I would not really go for that. It just takes away a lot of the customizability that is inherent to playing games on the PC.
Yeah, I guess you're trading in that agency for just that convenience.
It's not really that convenient. Like, I'd rather just have a PC that can run all this shit and just do it that way, and then tweak where necessary.
Yeah, but like Sam said, like in those scenarios where you don't have the PC, that having access to one is the alternative.
The prospect of playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on the go on my fucking iPhone, that's it's kind of funny. Like,
yeah, and it's unnecessary, right? That is entirely unnecessary.
It's gonna be unplayable. Still, like, I'm on the bus. I'm just playing Red Dead Online.
Yeah, that's fun once.
Exactly.
To say you did it. But I'm looking for a good living room solution right now, and I don't know, something.
Yeah. Steam Link is still your best bet, I guess.
Yeah, I got one of those up.
Just a very long HDMI cable.
Yeah, there's that too. Although I was happy to find out that behind my TV there is a channel that goes to the office. So if you can run a cord through it, you can then just hook into whatever's in the office. It goes through the wall and all that. And the first time we tried to do it, we put a vacuum on one end and a piece of string with tape on it on the other, and we were like, we'll just suck the string straight through this pipe, and then we can tie whatever we want to the string and pull it back through. And we fed the entire spool of string into it, and it got stuck somewhere halfway. My wife's on the other side. She's like, it's moving. And I'm like, all right, just keep feeding it. I'm like, it's got to come through eventually. How long is this fucking pipe, man? So we give up, we haul the thing back out, and there's this giant clump of string where somewhere through it got wedged. These are the problems with cloud gaming and moving. These are universal problems with the local gaming versus cloud gaming experience that everybody's going to have. So we got to pay attention to those things.
Here's a question for you. What games are you guys looking forward to this year?
I have no idea. Somebody else. Death Stranding on June 2nd.
I have a bunch of games that I've sporadically been favoriting on my wish list on Steam, but I can't say there's a specific one that I'm hardcore awaiting.
Really? Okay. What about you, Jamie?
Destroy All Humans remake. That game is one of my favorite goddamn games of all time, and they're
right. You got that one ready,
That's my the way the rest of the world feels about Final Fantasy VII is how I feel about fucking Destroy All Humans.
This is your Final Fantasy VII remake.
I heard they took Texas out of it.
I gotta be honest, I did not even know that game was coming.
Oh, it's like a perfect remake as well. The way they're doing it, they've found a bunch of old cut content that they didn't have time to put in the original that they've put back into the game. They've got the voice actors back to add in voice lines. They've tidied up the mechanics to make it feel like a modern day game rather than a PlayStation 2 game.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Love it. They're going above and beyond for this.
Oh yeah, because I don't know if anyone played the Medieval remake. Probably not, but
no,
it still plays like a PlayStation 1 game,
right.
which is fine if that's what you're after, which I didn't mind it, but there's definitely going to be people who go out to buy a PlayStation 4 game, and it's going to play like a PlayStation 1 game. Right. Whereas with Destroy Humans, they're modernizing it in a really nice way. So in the original, you could switch between your weapons or your ability, so you could either be shooting someone or using your telekinesis to pick someone up. In the new one, they've mapped the buttons differently, so you can use your telekinesis at the same time as using a weapon, which is a really small adjustment, but it's something that is definitely going to make a big difference gameplay wise.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Cool.
Oh, here's one. Baldur's Gate 3.
That's one. Oh yeah, coming to Stadia.
I like the CRPGs and Larian Studios. They best known recently for Divinity Origins. I mean, Original Sin 2.
They've never made a bad game.
I mean, no, it's been fantastic. I know when they did like their live gameplay demo for Baldur's Gate 3, there were some complaints that the game essentially looked like a mod of Original Sin 2, which I can kind of see that, but they've done a couple like AMAs on Reddit and just kind of like just general developer interviews, and they've been pretty transparent saying that a lot of the systems right now are just straight up copy and pasted from Original Sin 2, just because, I mean, it's, they wanted a working alpha, so it's easier to just take what you have rather than try to speed run something that's not ready yet.
And those are solid mechanics. Like, why not include them in other games as well? Like, of course, add more or subtract where needed.
Yeah.
But it's a great, starting base, definitely.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. I know there's like a bit of contention because there's a lot of people that are like the diehard Baldur's Gate fans that, are pretty much on the verge of boycotting this game because it's not Baldur's Gate according to them. But I remember playing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 back in the day, and like it was a fun series. But I think for me, I'm not necessarily care so much about the story. I just kind of want something in that D&D setting. And from the look of it, they're really taking care to adopt all the new 5th edition kind of mechanics into a video game format, which seems like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Is it real time with pause, or is it turn-based?
Nope,
like
turn-based.
Okay.
Just turn-based, and I mean they said that's the best way for them to capture the combat from 5th edition.
That's fine. That's their wheelhouse anyway. I wouldn't complain about that.
I mean, to be fair, like real time with pause can be kind of chaotic sometimes. Where a lot of times it's just literally you pause, set your moves up, unpause, watch the chaos unfold, and pause again. So I mean, it might as well be turn-based.
I'm looking forward to that flight simulator.
Which one?
Have you guys seen trailers for that?
Yeah, I have. It looks crazy.
It looks like it looks real. It's great. Like the way that they use fucking Bing map technology. Like they finally found a use for Bing, and they used it to great effect. I have no interest in airplanes or flying, to be honest. I fucking hate going somewhere with an airplane. I just don't like it. But this game sounds like a great game to just play with a couple of mates while you're high as fuck. You're just gonna fly around, see if you can land in that field next to your house. It sounds like a good time to me.
Cool. Well,
wait, I have another answer.
All right.
What else you got?
The indefinitely delayed Last of Us 2.
Oh yeah.
God, yeah. Man, it looks so good. At one point, it came out saying something like, "Yeah, we're simulating the heartbeat of NPCs." Like, okay, why? It's like,
Immersion.
it's like the horse testicle thing all over again. It's like it doesn't need to be there. Nobody's gonna notice this, but I love that they went that far. You guys not looking forward to Cyberpunk?
Maybe.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah, ish. That's not the exuberant fucking rabid yes that you get pretty much everywhere on the internet right now.
I know, but I wasn't an exuberant, rabid The Witcher fan, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm
not
willing
really
to wait
the
and
same
see.
now, though.
I mean, I'm excited for it, but it's not one of those games that I'm kind of fiending to play right at release.
God, dude, I was hyped for this when they released that original teaser 8 years ago. Cyberpunk has always been one of my favorite genres. I grew up reading the material. I've seen the movies, I've read the books, and now even the music that I make is also firmly in the cyberpunk direction now. It's just tailor-made for me. So I've been looking forward to that, and I've been very patient, and I really fucking hope that Corona's not going to take my Cyberpunk away come September.
Don't worry.
It already took Watch Dogs, okay?
Yeah, but CD Projekt Red doesn't seem to care about the welfare of the employees, so I mean they'll deliver.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
I am
We
very
will make
impressed.
that release date.
I'm very impressed with that game, that it's not just a sort of Elder Scrolls Fallout situation, where they didn't just take The Witcher 3 and make it futuristic. Like, it seems like they've actually built a completely different game with it being first person and all that.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that from the gameplay demos. It just looks like Deus Ex, but I don't know, with a world that feels so fleshed out.
Careful.
What?
Better? I don't know.
Sorry.
Maybe.
Here.
No.
It's not better. I'll say it's like it seems like it captures the feel of like the original Deus Ex rather than like the more recent ones.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
the old
exactly.
one's my favorite. That's great. I'm on board.
I was talking more about Mankind Divided. Like it delivers that aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it does it so well. Like it's a different like flavor of cyberpunk from Deus Ex, but it still has all the tropes and it still really feels like something that is rooted in that genre. And I love games like that. I love cyberpunk games like that. And I cannot wait to play this.
And if you like cyberpunk, have you tried the Shadowrun games?
I have a bit, but that was like a while ago.
Yeah, they're old. That's true.
Did you try the actual Shadowrun or like the weird Microsoft one?
I think
it might have been.
What was that?
I think the Super Nintendo? No, I don't think so. No, it was the Microsoft one, I think.
Oh no, okay. So like you play the shooter one then?
Yeah.
No, so there's an actual like it's a third-person isometric turn-based game, but there's two cyber.
I've got Shadowrun Returns in my Steam library.
Yep, Shadowrun Returns and then Shadowrun Hong Kong, which are phenomenal.
Yeah, I played that a little bit. I liked it. I should
it's
back to doing it.
As fuck.
Like shit like that. That's why I was also looking forward to Watch Dogs 3 because I am in London like with some regularity, so I know the city quite well, and
humble brag.
It's always cool. It's also always cool to see like a city that you've been to, being represented in a video game, especially now that they have sort of leaned into the cyberpunky stuff even more. Plus, I want to make a hit squad of like cyberpunk grannies because apparently that's something you can do in Watch Dogs 3 now. I just want to make a legion of fucking pensioners. There's just
I will buy any game that's set in London.
Yeah.
I'm a simple man. Like, I remember when The Getaway 3 was going to come out on the PlayStation 3 years and years ago. I couldn't wait.
Getaway 1 was great.
They said
just go out my house
and you were
and see
like,
it for
no.
real.
And then they said, London, and you said, yes.
Yeah, it must be even cooler for you, Jamie, because you live in London.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like, I live in London, yet seeing London in a video game is so much cooler.
Can't wait for Watch Dogs Rotterdam. Probably never gonna happen.
All right, that's an hour and a half. I gotta pee real bad.
That sounds like a good way to sum it up.
So, did we get all our podcasting out of our systems for a little while? A little bit?
I guess so.
See you in 3 years.
See you next pandemic.
Hey, this was fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
This was.
Hey, I'm up for doing this again at some point.
Yeah,
you know what? 2 weeks or whatever from now, if we happen to all end up in the same place again.
Yeah. All right. So if we say 2 weeks from now, so we know it's gonna. Then we're gonna do another episode.
We don't have to plug anything because like there might be more content, there might not. You wait and see. home person. And us also, we're just as excited as you are. Maybe
gonna do like 2 more episodes, and we're gonna have a indefinite hiatus that goes on for 27 years, and suddenly we're back.
Yeah, so don't unsubscribe, you 112 people. Hang in there. You never know when you might get a tasty little present on your doorstep in your email.
We'll be in it until senility and beyond. All right, it was good to talk about video games.
Yeah, this has been the Select Characters podcast and all the stuff I used to say at the end. Thank you guys so much for listening again, and we'll see you. We'll see you when we see you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm turning it off. Stop. End. Done.